Welcome, everybody, to a conversation I'm about to have with Kris Schaefer, who will be presenting at the ASP US West Coast session on February 23rd at 1 p.m. The title of that presentation is Using Conscious Capitalism to Guide Strategy Execution, and it's a follow-on to the presentation Kris did in June 2021 for part one, which focused on strategy, conscious capitalism, and strategy. Kris, welcome. So glad you're making time for this conversation. Thank you.
It's great to see you again, Joyce.
Great to do it again with you. So Kris, in your first presentation, you described how conscious capitalism informs your strategic plan. In the upcoming session, you'll focus on how conscious capitalism works with strategy execution. What's different in the second presentation?
Well, first of all, conscious capitalism assumes that the achievement of a conscious company's purpose will always be strategic. In conscious capitalism's terms, a company's purpose is to solve a worthy problem, and a big worthy problem will take time to solve. So in this presentation, I have just one company as a case study example of solving a very worthy problem, sustainability, and it takes them 19 years to achieve. So this presentation provides some tools with a concrete example for keeping on course with your strategy.
Oh, that's great. I love getting tools and I love concrete examples. I can't wait. And can you summarize for us how conscious capitalism can usefully impact executing strategy?
Certainly, because first, the strategy itself may be different. Conscious capitalism has a point of view about what that conscious strategy is, and the goal is a worthy purpose. John Kotter, who's been our master of change for years, has a most recent article in the Harvard Business Review, and he describes how a company's need to talk about their goals is influenced by how humans think and behave. It's how we are wired. So when a company talks about the threats and emergencies, COVID pandemic, how to return to hybrid, then the organization is put into a survive mindset. That means, how do we respond instantly to fear? But when leaders talk about the problem to be solved in the future, then it leads to an aspiration focus, and the organization responds with enthusiasm.
Wow, I'd love to hear more. You talk more about that. That's very exciting. The other thing I'd like to know a little more about, can you say more about the tools that you're going to cover?
Well, yes, I'll talk about three of them. One of them is called sense making, and that's a way of converting the language of a strategy in a way that activates what Kotter calls the Thrive channel. And this results in the feelings of optimism and efficacy. I believe that the goal is important, and I believe that I can work together in achieving that goal. And every employee, top to bottom, has a belief that this objective is certainly worthy. Another tool for handling long-term change is a strategy for resistance. And instead of putting negative labels on people, I have a model called testy employees. And that change actually will, in conscious capitalism terms, we treat them differently, not as outcasts, but employees to be embraced. And the third is another tool. It's very familiar for people who deal with agile and lean manufacturing, and it's called loopy. And it's a way to use iterations to reach the final goal. You have a long-term goal, but making sure that you celebrate the achievement of every step is very important.
Oh, this is music to my ears, Kris. Tools for sense making, resistance, and loopy. In what other ways or different ways does conscious capitalism handle strategy execution?
Well, something very important in conscious capitalism is partnering with stakeholders. And stakeholders, of course, as we would imagine, are your employees and your customers. But in my case example, I'm going to show you how they dealt with, I think, an overlooked stakeholder, and that's a supplier. How do you get someone who owns their own separate business, who are supplying you raw materials to cooperate with your need to create, in this case, sustainability. Well, they did it. I'll explain how they do it. But in essence, instead of dealing with fear, the company listens to their needs and actually partners with them, so the solution is ultimately a win.
Oh, Kris, I so agree with the power of an extended win-win-win solutions for you, your company, and all stakeholders. I am so looking forward to the presentation. We've known each other for almost 40 years, and I have just always learned so much from you. So I encourage anybody who's watching this, please join us on Wednesday, February 23rd, 1 p.m. Pacific time, for what is going to be an outstanding presentation about how conscious capitalism can guide strategy execution. Thanks so much, everybody.